And next up, we have the incomparable Camille L. Miller bringing you forward here. Hi, so glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, yes. It's been such an energetic, like juicy, energized, energy-filled day that I'm excited to have this conversation with you and really explore the passion and that you have for building authentic businesses. I want to share your background, okay? Camille is an engineer for alternative businesses. She has achieved overwhelming success helping people shift from business owner to entrepreneur and finding the courage to align that business with their values. She's the founder and chief visionary of the Natural Life Business Partnership, a global professional organization for soul-centered entrepreneurs who live in a higher vibration, have an alternative approach to business, and who want to repair the world. In creating the Natural Life Business Partnership, she has dovetailed her strength in business with her passion for helping people strategize their unique business ideas. She's described as highly motivated leader with excellent communication skills and an extraordinary ability to work with, influence, and motivate others. We're excited to have that here today. Camille is a counselor for the Small Business Development Center. She holds an MBA in marketing from William Patterson University Graduate School of Business, a BA in psychology from the State University of New York College at New Paltz. She is one dissertation short of her PhD in natural health science. She is a certified business success coach, master sales trainer, Psych K facilitator, national speaker, and top-rated instructor in all aspects of business. She is also a host of Six Figure Souls podcast, Doing Good and Making Money, which highlights soul-centered entrepreneurs who crush the six-figure ceiling and still feel they are in alignment with the universe and their purpose. Camille believes there is no great secret to creating a massively profitable business that aligns with your soul's purpose. Like, that's thunderbolts. We need that. There is, however, a need to shift your mindset to get there, and she's all about purpose beyond profit. Camille is a single mother of 3 awesome kids and resides in New Jersey. Welcome, powerhouse Camille L. Miller.
Wow. Most people don't go for the long bio.
Oh yeah, we read it.
You went long.
We celebrate successes around here.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm excited to be here. And I listened to a lot of the stories. I tried to pop on as much as I could to just start it.
Good, beautiful. And I'm excited to have your perspective because I love this engineer for alternative businesses, spirit-led, soul-centered businesses. We often hear of them kind of holding back with traditional marketing strategies or trying to then, because we're holding back with that, trying to figure out a way. But you're the engineer, right? And you want to talk today about monetizing your passion by building an authentic business. Can you share? Yeah, dive in wherever you feel called based on what you've been hearing today.
Yeah, I will dive in. I didn't actually prepare anything.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
It was more of an interview, so go ahead and ask those questions.
We will do that too.
I can dive in just on, the little bit of a journey or how I ended up in this space.
Please.
Because I call myself an engineer for alternative businesses because I work mostly with people that have come out of the professional or corporate world and they're reinventing themselves. They're taking their spirituality or they're having this awakening. Sometimes it's just like a little inkling, and some people are in full awake at this point. And they're just like, my corporate business or what I'm doing today is not in line with who I am, and it doesn't make my heart sing. So how do I bring those two worlds together and still create a profit with my purpose, right? Beautiful. So that's what we want to do. And I love building businesses. I don't particularly care for running them. So I created a job that just was for me, right? So I created a job that I can help other people build businesses and allow their gifts to come to the world. But I get to be their business healer, right?
Beautiful.
So I can put it together and give them the strategy and allow them to just step into who they are and build a business around what they like to do. Like if you don't like to do Facebook, then don't. Right. If like I think everyone tries to be like who they think they should be and not who they truly are.
Yes.
And I always start off with tell me what your ultimate dream is. Okay. Let's work on that. And then give me 2 columns of what you really, really want to do and what you really, really don't want to do. Like, and I don't care if it's, I only want to work 2 hours a day, right? Or 3 times a week or whatever that looks like. I want to be home, to cook dinner for my kids every night or not have weekends. And whatever it is, it can be created. It can be created exactly the way you want it to give you the life that you want to live, the business you want, the money you want, and all of that. So it's all a part of it. It's the inner work, the outer work, and then the higher work.
This is so powerful. And yes, I've got questions for you, Camille. So don't you worry about that. Okay. So this is, someone called you an underachiever in the comments, which is hilarious, right? We have lots of that high achieving energy today. I really love it. So when you're talking about an authentic business, that you've hinted at it already, like what you really want to do. So tell us what
authentic to you, right? Yeah. Authentic to you. So it's, a lot of times people are like, well, I'm not that spiritual, or I'm not that or I'm an engineer, or I'm a doctor, right? So I tend to attract a lot of scientists, a lot of very logical people. We have other people in the group, but very logical people, say like a doctor who's worked in Western medicine for most of their lives. They hit about that 50, 52, and they're like, yeah, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't think this is the way it was going to be run for me, right? And I don't feel good about it. Those are the people that come to me and say, what's next? Sometimes you do have to let go of some stuff, and you have to be able to take that leap, but you can do it. So authentic is, a financial planner that doesn't want to invest or direct people to invest in, some certain things, and looks to invest in socially responsible companies, right? Because that's their thing. That's what feels good to them, right? They're going to attract the client that also wants to do that, right? You can only attract the people that you can help. There is no way that you are going to attract people you can't help. It's the law of attraction, right? It can't happen. It's always you 2 years ago. So that's your avatar. If you didn't know, it's you 2 years ago.
How true and how powerful that you hinted at this also earlier, the not only doing it the way that you want to do it, releasing the shoulds, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about that a lot today. You acknowledging that if you don't want to do the spiritual aspect, or you do want to do the spiritual aspect, but you think nobody will pay for that, like being able to bring that in. How do you, I feel like there's a mindset piece here that you probably speak to people about, right? Can you share a little bit about, if you're coaching business, you're coaching mindset too, right?
Yeah. So we start with the inner work. Like first it's your dream. Tell me everything you got, right? And all of this stuff will come out, right? Because you'll hear, well, I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't do that. You'll hear all the negative, right? And we always start with the inner work, right? What does it feel like to you? What does it look like to you? What do you hear people saying about you? What are you saying to yourself? And we built it around success first. Like when you have everything, what does that look like to you? What car are you driving? What house are you living with? Who's around you, right? And kind of work through what that looks like so we have a clear vision of what you want to manifest, right? And also working through some of your pain points. With most entrepreneurs, it's self-worth. Comes up all the time, right? And very often I help people with the money mindset and being able to attract or price things their way, right? But then maybe their marriage falls apart or their relationship because now they have strength, right? And they feel confident and all of that comes up. So it loosens something else. And that's very, very common. So sometimes we're working on that, so when you're an entrepreneur, your life and who you are is so dovetailed, and it should be, right? It should be. So you have to work on all of it. So I am trained in what's called Psyche, which is really an energy psychology that works on the subconscious beliefs, because a lot of what is in there came from when you were your childhood. It's there. I don't need to hear the story of why, but I hear it come up as you're telling me about your business. So I'm like, okay, let's work on that, right? You are powerful enough. You are good enough. You are worthy. All of that stuff, not just the affirmations, but kind of working around what we call goal statements, that you're safe, or the fear of success. What if I get money and I lose it all? What if I get money and I don't know what to do with it? What if I get money and people ask me for it? I don't know how to pay taxes. I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, okay, let's work through that. So there's always these resistance that's coming up. And as we work through that, if you're working with me one-on-one, we're going through all of it. We're pulling it all apart. There's a lot of inner work. And I think people believe that you hit a certain level and it doesn't come up anymore.
Right.
And it's really like new level, new double, right? Stuff still comes up for me. And it's like, whoa, where'd that come from? And I have people that I need to talk to, and I have coaches. So it never really stops. It always keeps going. You just have to keep it in check, and be aware of it, right?
Yeah. I think that's the blessing and the not really curse, but I will use that terminology of building your awareness and working on yourself, is that you get to notice where you're limiting yourself, and then you get to notice where you get to expand, and then it comes up again in a different level of it, a different experience of who you become.
Yeah. Or you start to just kind of pivot, right? I think 2020, a lot of people had to pivot, right? And there was a lot of resistance around it, right? But now we're in a space, and I watch people that, oh my gosh, I'm never going back to an office. This was awesome. Right. And in fact, I was talking to someone today about, I believe there's this evolution of a new entrepreneur, not only spiritually gifted and based, but what they're calling address fluid. Someone called it that. I was like, I'm totally
I like that.
Fluid. Like, you can work from anywhere, you can be anywhere. We can start having this nomad kind of lifestyle, for me, it's going to be like always having a home base, but trying to get out, and I think that's kind of like a new lifestyle and what people want to see in their business. So let's make it happen.
And communicating on platforms like Zoom, people have, in this pivot space, we've heard people say, well, it's just not the same, or it's not the same as being in person. That's true. It's not the same as being in person. And we can look at Zoom or Skype as transformational tools that allow us to connect with people on the other side of the planet.
Oh my gosh. We have such a global experience going on right now that I don't think was capable before all this, but it also allowed us to be more us, right? You don't really have to get dressed up. I talk to people all over the place. There's kids walking by, there's cats over cameras, right? And it just is now, right? In the beginning, we were so careful and I think kind of allowed us to just be, right? There's a beauty to it. It just happens now. People on their calls and, it just happens. So I think there's a beauty to that. And we're talking to people all over the world, right? So all of a sudden you don't have to have employees. You can have contractors all over the world now, right? There's no barriers anymore. And time zones have gotten so much easier, right? I talk to people all over the world. They just kind of work differently, right? And my admin actually has a 12-hour difference with me. So there's someone online 24 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
That's help, right? Who knew?
Right.
That, right? You think of business hours, but we're covered 6 days a week, 24 hours. So it kind of works nicely.
Yeah.
That's what this new evolution of an entrepreneur has brought to us, right? There's so much freedom in it, and there's so much authenticity in who you can be if you're ready to be. But I think the idea of a professional has been, so you dress a certain way, you be a certain way, you show up a certain way. very masculine energy. And I think there's this new piece that's coming through, which is just authentic and real and being.
Yeah.
So you can be a spiritual professional as well.
Yes. So speak about, when we had our call, you talked a little bit about being a spiritual professional. What does that look like to you? And how can we bring that forward in our discussions about what we do, and bring that feeling of good boundaries and good mechanics and all of that stuff, and still be the spiritual one that we want to be?
Yeah, so I think it's really just embracing who you are. But one of the reasons I created NLBP, which is the Natural Life Business Partnership. Now, I created it 6 years ago, before the pandemic. We went online in 2018, right? We went global before this all happened. But it was really a professional organization. I wanted a place just like the American Medical Association or the Bar Association or something like that, for spiritual people that are professionals to come together and try to get rid of that woo-woo stigma that was attached to it, right? And that's probably why we get a lot of the scientists, the doctors, the PhDs, and all of that, right? So I wanted a professional organization. I came out of the professional world, right? I wanted something that gave me credibility, and I wanted to be part of something bigger. So that's how we created this. So a professional is, if you want to be a professional, you're a professional. You know what I mean? Like, I still believe it's how you conduct yourself and who you're helping. And there's a lot of pieces to being a professional, but I like to think of us as of the hub of those spiritual professionals. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
I think we need each other to repair the world. So our community is all professions, all genders, everybody. There's nobody that's not allowed. Our common thread, though, is spirituality, right? So we believe in abundance. We believe in, we don't really have a transactional culture. We tend to help absolutely everybody. We're more about giving than we are about getting.
Sure.
Those are some of the things that are very common in the people we attract.
I think that's really special, that it sounds like a very generous community. We've been talking a lot about being generous today, right? And how that generous with ourselves, generous with other people, and living within our standards and, our values, and being generous where it's not emptying ourselves, but we're allowing the generosity to be received as well.
Yeah. So I always kind of attach that to money, because so many, soulful entrepreneurs or heart-centered entrepreneurs or people that are of service, always feel really guilty about charging money. And I always say to look at money as like a current, right? It's a currency. It's a current that's going from you to do, but it's a currency of gratitude, right? Yes. Someone is so grateful for the work I do and how I can help them that they pay me. Right. And that's when I receive that with gratitude, I'm happy. And then I pay the next person and I send my gratitude to them. Right. So I'm grateful. So I send it to them and now they have money too. So it's a current that shall not be blocked. Right. We don't want to block that current and put up that resistance. But, and kind of look at it that way, that, that comes up a lot. But that's an important way of just feeling the gratefulness that's all around us,
right?
And come from a place of service and giving. But I think that's the evolution that's happening.
Yeah.
In our community, it's, someone says, hey, I'm having a problem, 30 people call them up. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. Right. There's just what I call a high vibration. The whole group just vibrates at a higher place. They achieve things greater being together.
That is a thread that we've talked about all day today, is being in collaboration, not in competition. Yeah. Why trying to divide the oneness when we can actually help each other? Yeah. There's plenty. If we live in a limitless universe, there is no too much.
Absolutely. And none of us are the same. We don't do the same thing. We are the differentiator, and the more you differentiate who you are, the better the easier it is to see for someone else, right? If I don't care if there's 10 coaches in the same place, you do not do the same thing. You might call yourself the same thing,
right?
But there is no way that you attract the same people.
Right. That's such
you
a
can't
powerful,
do it.
Yeah, it's
different. An impossibility. The universe doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Right. And when you're talking about then allowing yourself to be paid well, and you're acknowledging that that is gratitude for something that you have to offer that person, that it gives them a way to be in the energy with you. It gives them a way to connect to you. It gives them a way to say thank you. It gives them a way to start their transformation, and how that, when we come from a place of struggling with worthiness, like you mentioned, and being able to look at it from what the money exchange actually gives the client or the customer.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
It's just being grateful. And I think, when people say, I don't have the money, or I can't do this, I can't do that. We just came from a business intensive, and I do an exercise where I make them write down all the things that they would love to do as soon as they had the money. And then when it's done, I was like, why aren't you doing that now? Because that's called an opportunity cost. You're giving up that to do whatever you're doing now. So try to take that trip, try to take those days off, try to be with your family, because you're losing that time. You're losing all of those opportunities. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that people can look back and say, I wish I did that 10 years ago. I wish I did this. I wish I did that. Well, that opportunity doesn't come back.
Right. So and that's the price, or not the price. That's the piece of living an authentic life.
Yes. Yeah. Not it's doing it in the now. It's being in the present.
Right.
Yeah. Just be present. The money will flow to you. Just be present.
So is there a tip or trick? Not really, but I want to hear your perspective, your piece of how you engineer being in the present for yourself, and how you talk to your clients about that. Can you share that?
Well, I'm a recovering control addict.
Okay.
So learning that, and kind of going all through those pieces of my life kind of got me where I am.
Okay.
But I'm totally unattached to outcome now, right? And it's really about just showing up and doing what's right for you, right? And sometimes I have to kind of double check, even for myself, and go, okay, am I showing up for the right reasons? Like, does this still make my heart sing? And I've recently just kind of had that flip for myself. I love my community. I love what I do. But it's very high level. I don't get to really know people really, really deep. And that's why I'm like, okay, I'm going to shift a little more to one-on-one work. I only take 5 a year, one-on-one clients, because that's all I can handle. But they have access to me, and I know them very well, right? I know them very, very well. So I can tell if they're not being authentic or something's off or not right. But I have to stay in that present place too. And sometimes it's just to be still, right? There's the art of stillness is very, very important.
Yeah. And
it's not to always work.
Right. Yeah.
It shouldn't always work. The 40-hour workday is like a total hoax. Don't do it.
Well, if you're creating your business from what you really want, we putting up, do we want to work 40 hours a week? No. Maybe if we feel like our income can only be tied to our time, right? Which is something to break through. That's a big thing to break through, because
that's a total limited belief. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And to acknowledge even what you just said about, I take one-on-one clients during the year because that's what I want. As running an authentic business, you get to change your mind.
Yeah. And you're growing, right? So who I was 6 years ago is not who I am today. Right. And I grow and I develop and I like things. And I'm sure as I start to, I was divorced with 3 young kids when I started this, right? My kids are all gone now. So I'm in a totally different chapter of my life. And guess what? I'm going to start to attract those people, right? My next chapter wants to travel. So guess what? I'm probably going to have like a little digital nomad, mini piece of my community. Right. We have what we call micro communities within our community. So I'm sure that's coming up.
Right.
right? Because people change, and to be okay with change.
Yes.
To notice when it comes. Usually it's just a small tweak to allow it to come in, and everything is aligned again, because you are you. You're not changing that much.
Right.
You just have to match up with your path.
Absolutely. And the path, like you said, the path changes. It gets to change. Sometimes I see people setting up their business like, I've got to carve this in stone and nothing can ever change. And we get to change. We get to flow. I mean, that feels like exactly what you're describing. Now you might become a little bit of a nomad yourself. You get to have a new perspective.
Yeah. And things happen for a reason. Like there is a thing called divine timing, right? And we've all had those like courses or something that we put out there or put all our energy in and then didn't fill it, or something went wrong, or, we've all had those. And sometimes that's a clue or a shift or a change. I just did a big business intensive, and I've done it since 2018, right? So, and it's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And we just did a really like mini one. We're covering the same stuff, but when less people were there, I got to dive in so much deeper.
Oh, wow.
And it was such a shift for me. I actually wrote a thank you letter to them.
Oh, that's
just said, this was incredible for me, because it made me learn that this is the part that I love. Right. And, and I heard back that, they wouldn't have it wouldn't have been such a safe space if everyone was there. Right. So then I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to create these like little mini, maybe master things that run a year, right? With a maximum of like 5 people or something. We'll run the same thing, that was a shift for me. And it was a part of me that said, okay, I have to let that go. Right. That was who I was, and this is who I am now. And I like this more intricate work. And that's how I call it, and end up calling myself, the alternative business engineer, because I get to engineer how this all works, because every single person is different. There's no plan like you're the same as this one. You're not.
Right.
And I take in, what do you like? What do you don't like? Where do you want to show up? Do you like the lives? Do you like email? Do you like hiding? Because I work with introverts, because I attract me. So, and knowing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this fountain of knowledge today. I really appreciate it, and really affirming that your business doesn't have to look like anybody else's. It gets to look like your business. Your life gets to look like yours.
Yeah, you should be able to hand your business plan to someone else, and they should not be able to be you, because you're the differentiator, right? It's not, that's why share your secrets.
Right.
It helps someone else, because they're not taking anything away from you. Yes. They're not you.
Beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you so much. So the gift, your link to your free gift is in the chat right now. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah. It is a 6-figure soul strategy session with me.
Wow.
So it's just to review your business, see where you are, see if you're walking your authentic path. And if not, maybe we can make a few tweaks together and engineer so you feel perfectly aligned with it.
What a gift. Wow. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm here. I'm seeing so much love in the chat. Everybody's like, Camille is a gift. Today with you, Camille, is divine timing. Appreciating your insight. Just lots of love. So be sure to check on the chat before you go away. But thank you so much for sharing this energy and continuing this powerful passion of living from your authentic place. Being in a place of worthiness and allowing yourself to be generous from that space. I think that's really a powerful message to share.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on today and sharing your audience and your screen.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. All right. Have a beautiful day. I hope to talk to you very soon.
Thanks. You too.
Take good care. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.